Hello there. Welcome to Healthy Cooking with your friendly Italian. I'm Jim Bero.
And I'm Marilyn Bero.
And we're here to talk about food and give you some recipes, some travel, some dining, and whatever turns us on. So we hope you enjoy. We have been away. We've been on the West Coast over in the Portland, Oregon area to see our son and our grandson. So we're going to be talking about the food of the Northwest, one of the most beautiful areas of the country. Right, Marilyn?
It's absolutely beautiful. I often say to people, they say, what is it like out there? I say, well, if you really go look at the tall trees and the beautiful mountains and everything, and you didn't believe in God, you would look at these and say, there has to be a God that made this.
And you smell that wonderful, fresh ocean air coming in from the Pacific. It's absolutely fantastic. So one of the things that the area is noted for, and this is the time of the year that it happens, is the wild salmon season is upon them. And they have the sockeye and all these wonderful, beautiful salmon. So we are going to be talking about salmon, how to cook salmon. We're going to grill it. We're going to poach it. We're going to even do it raw, and we're going to do a burger. So, Marilyn, shall we get started?
Yes.
With a salmon burger.
That's right.
And we did a little thing in our kitchen, and we're going to show you how easy and wonderful it is.
Now this salmon, even though you can't get the wild salmon, here you can get it frozen. But you can use almost any kind of salmon to do the burgers, even canned salmon if you wanted to.
You can.
It's not going to be as good, but...
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I've got some salmon fillets. There's no skin on these. And these are farm-raised salmon because that's what we can get in this area. And I'm cutting it into chunks. And I'm going to take a portion of this and put it in the Cuisinart and puree it, and then I'm going to add the rest of it and get it into smaller chunks. This is an easy recipe. There is no fish flavor on this, and it's easy to do. And a lot of people who will stick their nose up at salmon will eat this and say, boy, is this good.
And salmon is very good for you.
It is.
The fish, the oil in this is more beneficial and better than a lot of the fishes, even though all fish is good. But salmon is an extremely healthy fish to eat.
All right. I've added a dash of mayonnaise. I use Hellmann's Light mayonnaise. You can make your own if you're so inclined.
You can use regular mayonnaise too.
And there is some yogurt that I've added to it. And we're going to turn this on, and we're going to turn this into a puree or a paste to sort of hold this thing together once we make it into burgers. Once we have got that in a puree,
you had some scallions in there too?
We put some scallions in too, right?
Yes.
Once we've got this into a puree state, we're going to add now the rest of the chunk. You see how nice and creamy that is? Now we're adding the rest of the salmon that we're going to just pulse, so it's going to be a little on the chunky side. And now there's one of my favorite ingredients, panko, Marilyn.
Yes, panko breadcrumbs.
They're breadcrumbs.
They're really wonderful.
And they really, so I've just a few, about 9 or 10, and now we're ready to make them into burgers.
Well, and this also gives you some texture to the burger, so it isn't just a mushy thing. It gives you a little texture. So
we're going to make it into patties, and the easiest way to make it into patties is to have a ice cream scoop. And I've got 3 different sizes, and we're going to use one of the smaller sizes for this, and just make them into patties. And then we saute them 3 or 4 minutes aside, and it's going to be great. I've heated up the pan. I decided to add a little bit more panko to it, Mix a little salt. Not too much, just a little smattering of salt. And mix that together. They say this is a easy recipe. Doesn't taste fishy. Very fresh flavor to it. Good for you. Low in calories.
And you can put this in a burger roll and do the same thing that you would do with a burger. Put lettuce and tomato on it. Serve it any way you want to.
Okay. It's good if I don't have my hands wet, but it's a little easier with wet hands. I've added a little canola oil to the pan and made it into a patty. And we're going to do this in about 4 minutes per side and serve it. We'll as usual, I like to give color contrast. Once we cook this thing, we'll fancy it up a bit. You don't have to do that, but we can. While that's cooking, I'm making a sauce for this, which is we love this yogurt. That's plain Greek yogurt, FACE. It's a little more expensive than the norm.
It's called Faye.
Yeah, it looks like face, but it isn't. And now I'm adding some dill. If you had fresh dill, you could eat as fresh dill. This is a dried dill, which I think is a good product. A little salt and a little pepper, a little paprika, a little parsley, and we'll set that aside. And that's ready to, we'll mix that up, and we'll be serving that. I've added a little lemon juice to it. And I don't have any problem using the concentrated lemon juice. A lot of people say
I prefer a real lemon. It's not that hard.
Yeah. So turn it over 4 minutes aside, and now that is ready to go. I've got a whole wheat tortilla that I've put the salmon on. I've got some of that wonderful dressing or I put on it, a fresh piece of tomato, a little lemon slice, a little parsley, got some color into it. It looks good and it tastes good. Nice little dish. Now you could wrap that tortilla up. I forgot to drink my wine today. Oh well. You could wrap that in the tortilla if you want, or you could serve it without anything, just the salmon, and you'd enjoy.
And sometimes you have a little slaw that goes with that, or something, do you?
You can use a cucumber slaw. We're going to be making a cucumber slaw for one of the other salmon dishes that we have today in a little bit. So we'll talk about that. Now, you got to realize you can't get the fresh salmon that comes from the West Coast, but the salmon that we have here, the frozen farm-raised salmon, isn't bad. It has a little bit more fat to it. It makes it a lot easier when you cook it. It doesn't dry out on you. It does not have the flavor. But also here in this area, we have landlocked salmon that is extremely
quite tasty,
good.
Really.
And you can get it in the Finger Lakes. You can get it in the Great Lakes. And a friend of mine, John Similo, who is a great fisherman, went out and caught some salmon, and he smoked it and made it into a smoked salmon salad that we had for breakfast, of all things, at Red's one morning this week. And it was good. It was really, really good. So you can get frozen salmon at BJ's. Or they also have fresh salmon there, or you can go to Wegmans. They have individual strips, fillets of fresh salmon that are really, really very good. So go ahead and try this stuff. So the next thing I want to talk about is another dish called gravlax. Marilyn, can you explain to people what gravlax is?
Gravlax is cured, not cooked. And basically, you use a salt combination on this.
Yep.
And you put it aside for a while. And this is gravlax It's basically like lox. If you know about bagels and lox and that kind of thing, this is often served with cream cheese or some kind of cheese and capers. It's really a Norwegian or certainly that kind of comes from that area.
I think Norwegian would probably best express where it comes from.
That's where it came from. The gravlax itself.
It's something you don't cook per se, but by the process you get rid of a lot of the moisture, and what you have is a very creamy type of textured product when you're finished with it.
They often serve it on black bread and with just a little cream cheese or some kind of cheese and some capers. So it's usually used as an appetizer.
Right. So we're going to take a 1 pound salmon. Hopefully you can get it with the skin, but it's not necessary if you can get it without the skin. So you get a whole fillet. BJ's has them whole without the fillets. I think Wegmans has them with the skin. So we're going to take it. We're going to mix some salt and some sugar and some crushed juniper berries. If you don't have crushed juniper berries, forget about it. You don't really need them. But if you have them, that'd be great. So rub that into this wonderful fillet. Make sure all the bones are out of them. And then drizzle this with, I love this, about a tablespoon of vodka. And that helps. And some fresh dill or some dried dill. Wrap it in a plastic. Put it in a dish. Put a board on top of it. Put some weight, some cans on it, and put it in the refrigerator and leave it there for 2 days. What it's going to do is get rid of all that moisture, and you're going to take it out. You're going to slice it on the bias, and you're going to slice
it
very
thinly.
Very thinly. And if you have it with a skin, you don't want to cut through the skin. You want to just cut it and put it on a plate, and then make a cucumber slaw to go with it. And what we're going to put in the cucumber slaw, we're going to grate a cucumber, and we're going to press all the water out of it. Then we're going to mix that with a little sugar and salt and grated radishes and some plain yogurt or sour cream, and put that on the side. Put a little pumpernickel with that. Maybe you want some capers if that's your thing, and you've got a dish that is really very, very fancy but easy to make. Good for an appetizer for company.
And particularly if you have a large crowd, because it serves a lot of people. If you get a whole fillet, it's a appetizer that goes a long way.
It does, and it's inexpensive,
right,
to do, and it gives a nice flourish to it. Marilyn, I got to talk about something that has nothing to do with food.
Okay.
Has nothing to. It's a useless, stupid information.
Oh, all right.
How's that?
Is this just a break?
Just a break.
Break in the salmon discussion. Okay.
This has nothing to do with that. And there was a government study done that showed that hamsters got irritated on airplanes, and that if they gave them Viagra, they were calm. Now, number one, why are you putting a
hamster on an airplane?
Paying money to get this thing? I got a lot better use for Viagra than giving it to hamsters.
Well, who knows? Maybe it's supposed to be to keep you from having anxiety on the airplane. Oh, okay. Who knows?
Useless,
but it is a study.
It's a useless piece of information that makes no sense to me whatsoever, and I had to share that with all of you.
All right, well, let's get on with the salmon.
You want me to get off of my soapbox?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Easy way to cook salmon is poaching it. And it takes 10 minutes, no fuss, no muss. You take a fillet without the skin on it, and you pour some water over the top of it in a pan. Add 1 cup of soy sauce, some sliced ginger, some scallops, and bring the whole thing to a boil. Reduce and simmer for 1 minute. Turn the heat off and let it set covered for 10 minutes. and it's done. Now you can take it and chill it. You want to serve it cold. I like it chilled, but you can serve it that way. Garnish it with a few scallions and some oil, and maybe make your own tarragon mayonnaise or something of that nature, and put that on it. A little lemon juice.
This is another way you can put on a bed of lettuce of some sort, or make a salad. Use the poached salmon in a cold state and put it to make a main meal salad.
Absolutely.
That gives you protein. So,
and if you don't want the soy sauce, if that doesn't turn you on, take pour a cup of white wine over it, some lemon slices and some ginger and salt and scallion, and do the same thing. Cook it for a minute, let it set for 10 minutes, and you're done. Easy recipe to do. The other thing we want to talk about, being that we were out in Portland, we had a great time there, that if you ever get the chance to go to the Portland area or the Northwest, it is a beautiful place. You wake up in the morning, you go outside, you look off to the east, and there's Mount Hood with the snow-capped on top, or Mount St. Helena. That's the one that blew up. Everything is green. It's a very temperate climate. There's a wonderful freshness in the air, and it is really a nice place. And
you're only about an hour to an hour and a half from the coast,
Absolutely.
which gives you another. And the nice part is you can go to the coast, you can go to the mountains and ski, and actually in some places you can ski all year round.
At Mount Hood, I think you can.
So, I mean, you just can do all kinds of things. And there's all kinds of, and you've got the river, you've got all kinds of kayaking.
The Columbia River, yeah.
You've got all kinds of outdoor activities going on.
And then we took a trip to the coast. We
Yes,
were
we
at
did.
the
We went
coast
to
about
Lincoln.
60 miles away.
We went to Lincoln City.
Yeah, and that was great. And in downtown, we're going to go back to eating now. In downtown Portland, they have an area where they have all these little trucks that it's a block in circumference of food trucks.
It's right in the middle of downtown, right near City Hall and everything, and it's a parking lot that they took over.
That's right. And some of the chefs in Portland who worked in these very exclusive restaurants decided, give that up. They got their own little truck and they put them there, and they find that they can make good money there without the hassle, and it's a great place. Anthony Bourdain, who is like God to me, says, eats are on the street, and this is a case where eats are definitely on the street.
And they've moved all throughout the area now. There's a lot more food trucks in the whole area.
Not only there, all around the world.
Right.
All around in the big cities. And it's a good way to have local food, a lot of Asian food, at a very reasonable price.
Right.
And because it's so nice and temperate out there, they can do this all year long. So other thing I want to talk about, Marilyn, is while we were there, we went to a restaurant.
Yes, we did.
Which is up in the northwest of Portland, which is up on one of the hills overlooking downtown. And it's called Merriweather's. It's an old classical house that they get all of their foods from Skyline Farms.
Well, that's their farm.
That's their farm.
This is really a farm to table, if there ever was one, because they grow it themselves. Okay.
So we had a Sunday brunch.
We did. It was absolutely delicious.
We had poached. You had poached eggs?
I think I had a Florentine and eggs Benedict kind of thing.
They had one dish, and I didn't dare try this, but fried chicken on top of a waffle with maple syrup off the top.
But everything was good, and we had a little wait, and they brought us the most delicious scones I think I've ever tasted.
It's really good. So think about, if you ever get out to that way, try the Northwest. Not only Portland, but Seattle and all that area. It's absolutely beautiful area. We try to get out there once a year at least to see our family, and it's a really nice area. The other way, we talked about cooking salmon. What about grilling? Grilling, again, is very, very simple. We're going to take a salmon.
Salmon has a dense texture, so it doesn't fall apart on the grill. Some fish does. Then sometimes it's hard to grill, but salmon is not. It's very easy.
If you're going to grill it too, you're better off with a grilled fillet that has the skin on it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take some lemon, some olive oil, some parsley, some dill, and you're going to rub that into it. You're going to put this in a saute pot, a hot saute pan, and you're going to start with the skin side down, cook it for about 4 minutes, turn it over, cook it for another 2 minutes, and you're done. That's it. And put a little lemon on the top of it, or parsley, or whatever turns you on. As we said, you want to do your own thing, and here's a chance of doing it, and doing it very easily, very inexpensively, and something that is really very, very good for you. So the other thing I want to talk about, Marilyn, not only the salmon of that area, halibut.
Well, I have never tasted halibut anyplace else but out in the Northwest that is as good. I actually don't order it here. I only wait till I get out there.
Yeah,
because it really is delicious.
And the wonderful clams, the oysters, and the Dungeness crab, which is an oversized hard-shell crab, basically.
It really is.
A lot more meat in it, a lot easier to eat. There's a large Asian population out there, which makes the Asian food fantastic.
And many
good
things
Chinatown.
And their grocery stores, their Asian grocery stores are incredible.
Yeah.
And have a lot of the fish in those, really good fish in those Asian grocery stores.
And the beer. They have, I think that's where all these
the microbreweries started really, was a big, out in that area. And they started with a festival right in downtown Portland.
Yep.
Now it's so huge you wouldn't even want to go. But the first few years we were there, and when Matt actually worked at one of the microbreweries, Woodmere, and then, he had an internship there. And
the beer that we had while we were there this last time was to knock your socks off.
It was the Rogue beer.
Rogue, which is a brewery out on the coast. If you ever get a chance, ROGUE, Rogue beer, and they have a beer that has a little chocolate flavor to it.
Well, all kinds of flavors are going into these beers. I mean, it's immense amount. I mean, it's also becoming big here, but the real start of it's there, and it's huge out there.
And I hate tofu. I do not like tofu at all. They eat out there very healthy, and they eat tofu. So my son has got this stuff called Toby's Tofu Dip.
It's
and
wonderful.
I say, I'm not going to taste that with a 10-foot pole. And he says, you got to try this, Dad. I ate it. It tastes like the best egg salad I've ever had in my life. No, there was no tofu.
Now, we can't get it here, so Jim is going to try to experiment and see if he can come up with this. We took all the ingredients off the package. Now, he hasn't had a chance to do this, but eventually he's going to try and see if he can duplicate this.
So I will get back to you if it's a success. If it's a disaster, you'll never hear about it again. Right? But for a person that doesn't like tofu, it was pretty good.
And it's very healthy and low in calories.
80 calories for a big bottle. All right. Well, that ends another session with you all. Next week, we are going to do nudie. I didn't say get nude. I said nudie.
It's gnocchi nudie, or as in English we would say, regatta gnocchis
with spinach.
With spinach,
which you're poaching. They're light and feathery, and you're going to have. I'm going to show you how to do it, and you're going to love it. And we're gonna get back to some Italian roots and do some Italian things at our next time. So you enjoy. Don't get in any trouble like I do sometimes. And have a good time. And we're going to see you. And we are so happy to be back and be with you. And we're going to continue to cook. And you cook along with us. Bye-bye.
Ciao.